Welcome to Bluff Creek Podcast Radio. I am Ava.
And I'm Kalina.
And today's special guest is...
I'm Sandy, and I'm a former matchmaker with Together Dating Service.
Thank you for joining us today. Hi, what do you do for a living?
Well, for 24 years, I was a matchmaker with Together Dating Service right here in Edina, Minnesota.
Is it hard being a matchmaker?
You know, it has its days. It can be really hard. It can be really fun because we meet with single people all day long and we find out what they like to do and what they're most interested in and who it is that they would like to meet as a date. And then we matchmake people based on common interests and common values.
How do you know if two people are right for each other?
Well, that's a great question because one of the things that we found is that a lot of times people will date just based on what they see, meaning that a boy and a girl will look at each other and they'll say, boy, he's cute and she's cute, and off they go on a date, right? But just because somebody's cute to you doesn't mean that they're really a good person for you to date, because you really want to make sure that you have things in common with them, so you have always good things to talk about. You want to make sure that you have similar values and goals in life, so that you guys are heading in the same direction. Because ultimately, in the matchmaking world, our ultimate goal would be to find somebody that you would want to marry. So most of the people that came to dating services really wanted to find a life partner.
Has any of the people that you've ever done matchmaking with, have they ever gotten married?
Oh, that's another great question. And yes, when I matchmaked, I actually had 1,176 people that got married through my dating service.
Whoa,
I know, so that was a lot. I've got invited to lots and lots of weddings, and I had lots of together babies that were born because of all of our great matchmaking.
Where have you traveled, around the world?
I have actually traveled around the world. I've been all over the United States. I have a house in Florida, so I go down there as often as I can, especially when it's this cold. And I speak German, so when I was in high school, I went to school in Germany as an exchange student, and so I've traveled back to Germany quite a bit as an adult, too, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Is it busy during the holiday times?
As a matchmaker?
Yeah.
You know, holiday times are a really tough time for single people, I find, because a lot of times holiday means family, right? Everybody likes to get together with their family over holiday. And if you're single, a lot of times family, like grandmas and aunties, they're like, oh, when are you getting married? And where's your boyfriend? Where's your girlfriend? Mm-hmm. So I think single people have a hard time around the holidays. It can be a little bit sad and lonely for somebody if you don't have a partner, right?
What's your favorite season?
My favorite season is spring because I know that summer's coming.
What's your favorite food?
Oh gosh. Boy, I don't know that I have a favorite. I love Mexican food of any kind.
I love Mexican.
Oh, tacos.
I love Chipotle.
I do too. Right there with
Pablo's.
You. I know. And then I love Italian food. Love. Pasta of any kind. I'm not that picky.
Well,
what's your favorite flower?
That's a really good question. I love tulips. If I were going to buy myself a flower, I would always buy a little bunch of tulips.
Are you good at taking care of flowers, or do you forget to water them and then they die?
I don't. I have a really green thumb. I love plants and I grow a lot of plants. I have a big, huge garden at home. I grow giant mammoth sunflowers.
Do you have any children?
I do. I have 2 children. I have a daughter who's in 8th grade at CMS in Eden Prairie, and I have a son who's in 5th grade at Cedar Ridge in Eden Prairie.
Wow.
Has there been anyone who has had love at first sight?
Oh, I think love at first sight can happen. Absolutely. Typically people that come to dating services are not in their teens or 20s. A lot of times it's more people in their 30s and 40s. So by then, I don't know that love at first sight is really what they're shooting for at that point.
Mm-hmm. Do you ask people questions when you're trying to match them up?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We ask lots and lots of questions because the better we get to know the single person, the more we know of who they would be a good fit with when we're matchmaking them. And like I said, we're always shooting to match people up with similar goals and values.
Have you ever helped someone get ready to be married?
I have. We get a lot of questions as matchmakers. Well, first of all, we get a lot of questions about dating. And because a lot of times we would get people that sometimes are very shy, and that's why they've had a difficult time maybe finding a right partner, because even if they saw somebody that looked interesting, a really shy person might not feel comfortable going up and asking them out on a date. So that's where a matchmaker comes in handy, where we can put them together with somebody that would be a good fit for them. But then once we put them together, we get a lot of questions about where would you go on a date. And so that was something that we were really good at, giving advice on dating and where would be a good spot to go. And
when you pair two people up, do they come back and then you talk to them, or once you pair them up, do you not see them anymore?
No, that's another excellent question. And the type of matchmaking service that we had, they would come back to us after each date and let us know, are we on the right track or not.
So you can give them a different person, if it doesn't work out.
If it didn't work out, exactly. And they could give us feedback, because, there's a lot of words that people use that, fun. Somebody will say, I want to date somebody that's fun. And, fun to you might be different than fun is to me. So we find out what fun meant to them by them giving us feedback and saying, oh, this person I went out with, they were really fun and funny, and this is what we did, and this is why I liked them, or they were not, and this is why. So.
How do you find people, or do they just all come to you and then you pair them up with other people that come to you?
Well, that's one of the biggest challenges of matchmaking, is finding people. And one of the things that we had to do a lot of is marketing. And marketing is like advertising, to find and put the word out that here's a dating service, and if you're single and serious about finding somebody, this would be a good place to come. So the more marketing and advertising we did, the more single people we had, which means better dating service, right?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of dating services out there. Is yours any kind of other one?
You know what? We were the largest matchmaking service in the world for a long, long time, because we didn't use videotapes, we didn't use computers to do our matchmaking. It was all really done face-to-face, and it was done by hand by real matchmakers. Where, now there's a lot of dating services that people are doing themselves online. So that's kind of how we differentiated ourselves from the online or the video dating services.
Okay, when you traveled to Germany, was it fun there?
Oh my gosh, yes. It's always fun to go somewhere, different, and learn a different culture and learn about them. And the first time I went to Germany, I was 16 years old, and I had just gotten my driver's license. And the family that I lived with, the dad was a driver's ed instructor, and that's what he did for a living. And in Germany, unlike in the United States, Germany, you couldn't get your driver's license until you were 18 years old.
Really?
And so they were very, inquisitive about how I was 16 and how I had a driver's license. And so the dad said to me, tomorrow you're going to drive, and, I'm going to bring home a car and you're going to drive. And boy, was I scared, because I was a brand new driver here in little old Minnesota, and he made me drive on the Autobahn. Do you know what the Autobahn is? Have you ever heard of the Autobahn? Autobahn is the highway system in Germany, and they don't have a speed limit in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And he kept saying, du fahrst mit dem Auto, you drive the car. And then he'd say, schnell, 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 faster, faster, faster. And I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Was it really different there than in Minnesota?
It was. The first day I got there, we went to a buffet. The parents took me to a little buffet thing, and they we were going along the line, and they were picking up all the food, and the girl that was my age Birgit, she was pointing at this stuff and she was piling it on her plate, and I said, what is that? And she said, tsunge. And I said, what is tsunge? And she's like, tsunge. And then she said, and she pointed to her tongue. Ew, ew, ew. It was tongue. It was a big old plate of tongue. Yeah.
Ew.
And she was just piling it down like it was the best thing ever. And no, I did not eat any tongue. Have never eaten any tongue.
Now I'm curious to see what tongue tastes like. Wait, was it like human tongue or animal tongue?
No. It was cow tongue. Yes.
Okay, that's better. Because if it was a human, that'd be pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Did you have to study on being a matchmaker?
You know what? There is no school that you go to be a matchmaker, but we had a lot of seminars that we would go to within our company where we would learn, tips on how to get to know people better and on what makes people fall in love. Like you hear things that people always say, opposites attract, right? Have you heard that opposites attract? And they do. But we've found that opposites usually don't last, because we find that people that are more like each other tend to like each other rather than somebody that's completely different from you.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be kind of awkward, like if they like something else and then like you like something, and then it'd just be weird.
Yeah, it ends up, typically not being a great match. You're correct.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Bluff Creek Podcast Radio, encouraging you to connect with someone new today. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.